And welcome back to another edition of the Blue Review. It is Parker Bell here alongside Marcus Grant. And Marcus, but first off, I'm running this by myself today. Unfortunately, producer Graham was sick, so let me just get a quick intro. How you feeling today, man? Mm. Yeah, we're feeling it. We are feeling it, and it's not just the Dodgers; it's the Dodgers fans. It's been a tough. I mean, honestly, 53 game stretch. I think they've been 27-26. So hovering around mediocrity, and this was very much needed. And I think that little breath of fresh air, but at the same time, there's a lot of worries, and we're going to get into them in this episode. But I'll let you go right ahead before we get into our friends at LAX.
They'll give me a chance to collect my thoughts.
Yeah. Okay. And first off, you know what? I need to just apologize to the chat. We didn't have our sound up for that first minute. And you know what? It's one of those days. It's Mondays. Just like the Dodgers.
We're in a rough patch, just like the Dodgers are right now.
We are.
Yeah.
No. How you doing, man?
Well, no. Look, physically, and emotionally, I don't know. I guess it's kind of up and down right now. Right. The weekend was terrible. The stretch leading into the All-Star break has been terrible. They get swept in Philadelphia. They lose 2 of 3 in Detroit and lose two games in awful fashion. It was a bad weekend all around. Again, I guess the silver linings, because here I am, Mr. Silver Linings playbook myself. One, it's the All-Star break, so it's a few days for everybody to rest and regroup. And there's talk that some other guys, some important guys, could be coming back either right after the break or not long after the break. So that's a good sign. The other upside, if there is any, in the fact that they have been a mediocre team since late May, they're still up 7 games. For all of the floundering around this team has done, I think they've only lost like a game off their lead in the division over the last couple of weeks. So while the Dodgers have not been great, they are fortunate to be in a division where no one else is playing great baseball either. So I guess, again, there's that. They have that going for them. But other than that, there's not a whole lot to really be happy about at this point.
There's not, which is sad because we have 6 guys, well, not playing in the All-Star game, but 6 guys being sent to the All-Star game. You have Teoscar, of course, who's going to be in the home run derby tonight. So there's things, like you said, silver linings, but there's things to be excited about. And it's just hard to find the excitement right now as a Dodgers fan after, like you said, last 53 games going only 27-26. The rotation, it's suddenly become a problem when we thought it was carrying them for a while. You have still the bottom half of the lineup issues. And then, of course, you're looking at just like certain other weaknesses that are just really, really tough. I mean, no other team in baseball has this many guys on the IL in the pitching department. I think they have 12 right now, the Dodgers, and only the Brewers and who is it? I think I have one other team. Marlins have used more pitchers than they've used. So 30 plus pitchers. Dodgers are kind of on the struggle bus, but they still have the lead. So it's a really unique situation. I don't really even know how to react to all this, but overwhelmingly it feels negative because it's just you're seeing guys drop like flies, and that's never good considering the history of Dodgers postseasons.
Yeah, I mean, again, like some of this hopefully goes away or gets better when guys get healthy, right? Like ideally, you get Tyler Glasnow back shortly after the break. There's talk that the guys, bullpen help may be on the way after the break. Joe Kelly should be back soon. Bruised looks like he's getting closer. Kershaw is starting to get a little bit closer. Even Yamamoto is at least playing catch now. So that's a positive about him starting to come back. And that's not even to mention the fact that, still Mookie Betts seems to be progressing and getting healthy. Max Muncy, that is just sort of hanging out there in limbo a little bit. But, you start to add some of these names back. That does bolster this lineup. It bolsters this rotation because right now, as you mentioned, the pitching staff is maybe the biggest problem because they are just trying to cobble together starts. And it's been a good long while since you had the Gavin Stone complete game shutout, a couple weeks ago. Beyond that, it's hard to find a start where you've gotten 6 solid innings out of anybody. That's just been really, really hard to come by. The bullpen has been taxed because of it, and I think you saw a little bit of that over the weekend where they give up a 5-run lead in the 9th to the Tigers and then, let the game get away in the 9th inning yesterday with a couple of just bad defensive plays on bunts. It felt like this team was, running on fumes and just trying to get to the All-Star break right now.
Yeah, let's talk about that for just a second. That specific scenario yesterday. Marcus, we were all texting in the chat. The decision to leave Johan there. What were you going through, just like in your mind when you saw? I believe Vesia was warming up, correct?
Yeah, he was warming up, and I had the game on. I was kind of doing stuff around the house, and the Dodgers have the lead going to the 9th. It was a 1-run lead, so it was definitely a little tenuous. But I remember kind of walking past the TV and seeing Ramirez still in there, especially against a left-handed hitter. You have McKinstry at the plate, and I'm thinking, well, why is he in the face? Or he's a righty, rather. He's in the face of the lefty. Like, why is he facing the left-handed hitter when you've got Vesia warming up in the bullpen? I didn't understand it. I walked away from the TV for a second. Next thing I know, I see McKinstry on third base after a triple, and I'm like, well, this is going to end badly. Even then, I still thought Roberts would make the move to go to Vesia and try and, if nothing else, get yourself to extra innings. And then the whole thing just completely got away. And again, it was 2 days in a row with Ramirez on the mound. Granted, he didn't give up the 5 runs on Saturday, but he did give up the walk-off home run at the end. Then to have him out there and just kind of hung out to dry on Sunday, none of that made sense to me. When you've got 3-4 days off after this, why not bring in Vesia? Why not bring in Daniel Hudson, who's barely pitched the last couple of weeks? It just didn't make sense why they were stringing Ramirez along and letting him basically blow 2 games in a row. I don't understand what the thought process was.
Yeah, and you know what? Just like we limped into this episode today, we're back in the groove of things and we're getting things going. The Dodgers limped their way into the All-Star break. But I just want to remind everyone that here at the Blue Review, we're presented by LAX and our friends at Los Angeles International Airport. We all know the saying, changes are arriving daily, reducing traffic, saving guests time. And if you want to learn more about that travel experience being just changed on the daily, you can check it out at flylax.com/transforminglax. So, I mean, what more can we really get into here, Marcus, when it comes to, they're swept in Philly, they lose this series to Detroit, and overall, like we keep mentioning, 27-26 in the last 53 games. I don't even know where we can start in terms of, hey, listen, we're just kind of happy that Shohei's kicking butt.
Right.
But outside of that, it feels so negative, and, I don't really know how to move forward with that on the Blue Review here, especially. It's like,
yeah, I mean, it's been a rough stretch, right? I mean, I'm going through the schedule right now, right? So they get the sweep against the White Sox. That's great. They lose 2 of 3 to the Giants. They lose 2 of 3 to the Diamondbacks. They win 2 of 3 against the Brewers, and you think, all right, well, maybe they win a series against a good team, had a chance maybe for a sweep in that series, and then you're like, okay, well, it's okay. They're going to go to Philly. They'll be competitive, hopefully. Game 1, Bobby Miller gets blown up. The next 2 games were at least sort of competitive. But they get swept there. Then we talk about the weekend in Detroit. So it's just been a really rough go when you go back to probably late June at this point. We're 2-3 weeks into this really, really bad patch right now, which is really frustrating. But I think if you look at the first half as a whole, yeah, Shohei has been great. The rotation when it's been healthy has been good. Glass now when healthy has pitched well. Gavin Stone has been a revelation in the first half. Yamamoto was pitching really well before he got hurt. And you felt like, okay, they just needed maybe one more arm in there to kind of solidify things. So I think that's kind of a positive to come away from it. Mookie Betts was having a great year before he got injured. So there are things to kind of hang your hat on. But it's just been this idea of having to sort of patchwork this team together for the last, I don't know, 6 weeks or so,
Yeah.
that has made it really, really frustrating. But I think if you stop and you take a breath, which I know is hard to do, this team is still a really good team on paper. They just have to get their pieces back. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you said it best. I mean, they weathered the storm, I think, better than any team probably in the league would have. So that in itself is a silver lining, just knowing that if this was, let's say, the Padres who had the lead in the NL West, and they were going through this many injuries. I mean, you're kind of seeing it now. They're going through a lot of injuries, and they're just hovering around 500. So the fact that the Dodgers still have that 7-game lead is amazing. But you're talking about the patchwork and some of the needs. I think if you were to look at this first half of the season as a whole, what would you rank between? I'll give you some needs that the Dodgers have, and I'll let you rank them just 1 through, let's say, 4.
Okay.
So starting pitching.
Mm-hmm.
Corner outfielders to lengthen the lineup.
Okay.
And let's say center field defense. We can kind of get into Pages a little bit, but those are the 3 that I'll let you rank.
Starting pitching is number 1 right now. That is it. I mean, because even when you had everybody healthy, right? I mean, you were pretty much counting on Glasnow, Yamamoto, and then Stone has stepped up. Those guys you felt like, okay, they've locked in their spot in the lineup. After that, it was sort of up in the air. James Paxton has been up and down this season, but he's not a guy that you feel like you can rely on in October. They've kind of gone through different guys. Landon Knack. I mean, Walker Buehler is still trying to figure himself out. Bobby Miller is trying to figure himself out. So they still very much need at least one more starting arm that you can feel confident with in a playoff series. That by far is number 1. I would say that the corner outfield spot is probably number 2. Right now, Teo is going to be in the outfield every day because you can't lose that bat. Pages seems to have made a case for himself more often than not to be in the lineup regularly, whether that's going to be at a corner spot or in center field, if they can use him there. After that, it's sort of hit or miss, right? When Jason Hayward is healthy, you're going to try to get him at bats somewhere in the lineup. Outman is back now. He's going to occupy a center field spot more often than not. So they do need one more corner outfielder, I think, and somebody, I should mention Miguel Vargas, who is a little bit shaky in the outfield, but he's a guy that you kind of want when he's hitting occasionally to have him in the lineup. So I think they need one more corner outfielder and a guy that you could put in the bottom part of the lineup to feel sort of confident about that he can keep the line moving. Center field defense, I think, will sort of work itself out. And I know that's a weird thing to say about such an important position, but Outman will still give you good defense even when he's not hitting. Pages had that weird moment where he just lost a baseball somewhere in the atmosphere and it just fell behind him. In Philadelphia, I don't know how to explain that, but I think he's good enough and his bat sort of makes up for it. So of the 3 things you listed, that's the one that's number 3 to me.
Okay. No, I feel that. And I mean, I think most would agree that just starting pitching and now I would say the rotation in general, but like you said earlier in the episode, the back end of the rotation and some of those high leverage guys we are supposed to be getting back soon. So at least late August, kind of going towards September, we'll have a month or so to ramp up the rotation there. But in terms of starting pitching, it's going to be, it's a little worrisome. And I think, running out 3 rookies, Robleski and Stone, and the last one as well, Knack. I think that's a dangerous situation, but I'm glad that honestly, they're kind of, like you said, just they're floating. They're still surviving, and that's all you can ask for.
And that's kind of the thing. They're just trying to stay afloat. I mean, it's funny because when Mookie got hurt, we're like, okay, well, how do they survive, without Mookie? How can they make that happen? And that was before everybody else started going down, right? I mean, Yamamoto's out for an extended period. Then Glasnow goes down. I'm obviously forgetting people, but there's just been so many injuries. I'll say this. I mean, I know Stone's last couple starts have not been particularly great, but I think they've gotten pretty much all you can ask out of these young guys, right? They've gotten, I think, all you can ask out of Landon Knack for the most part. Brent Honeywell came up yesterday and gave them 3 solid innings. Then it was Yarbrough that sort of ran into trouble yesterday, but I think, they've gotten all they can ask for out of a bunch of guys that weren't really expected to shoulder this much of the load. I mean, Anthony Bonda pitched every game in that Tiger series.
Yep.
Johan Ramirez pitched 2 out of those 3 games. Like, this was not the workload these guys were supposed to be handling. And now they're asked to do a lot. So I think for the most part, Ramirez, maybe not so much, but I think, Bonda, Honeywell, Knack, Robleski, I think these guys are giving you all you really could ask out of them. It's just incumbent on the rest of the pitching staff and the offense to kind of pick them up where they can.
Yeah. So sticking with starting pitching, I saw a question in the chat for you, Marcus, from Alexander Guzman asking, should Kershaw wait, until either the playoffs or really, really close to the playoffs, or do they need him immediately for this second part of the season?
I mean, I would love to wait on him. If they could somehow wait till late August to kind of ramp him up early September, just so he can get, a few starts under his belt to sort of work out whatever. I definitely don't want his first start to be, late September heading into postseason, but if they could ramp him up sometime in late August, I think that would be the best. I think some of it is dependent upon how soon Glasnow is back, if he's able to come back, on time, if Yamamoto's rehab is proceeding the way they expect it to be. And honestly, some of it may be just whether or not Gavin Stone hits that rookie wall. And that's the thing, we talked about on this show last week with Travis Rogers. Will he hit the rookie wall? Is he starting to hit that rookie wall? And that could impact how soon they want to fire up Kershaw.
Yeah, no, and that's a good question. And I saw another question from Alexander as well, asking like, what should happen when Mookie does return in terms of the lineup? Is it just going to be back to where things were at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, I think so. And I know we've kind of talked about this before. I think Greg asked it at the beginning, like what happens if Shohei is great in the leadoff spot? I think I asked it like a week or so ago because Shohei's been great in the leadoff spot. But I think Mookie has said he's more comfortable at the top of the lineup, and I think Shohei, I think it's fine putting him back at the number 2 spot. So regardless of what has happened over the last few weeks, I think it goes back to what we saw, on opening day.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I mean, it was a good question. And like you said, we're going to be getting a lot of people back from injuries, with the exception of, honestly, Muncy, because that's the only one who we're hearing.
Yeah, and who knows? I don't even know.
And I don't know if anybody does outside of those inside the room, because what we get, and what we hear is just that it's not progressing as expected.
He's not even swinging a bat right now. So it's just, I know Greg said a couple weeks ago he thought Muncy was going to be done for the year. At the time, I didn't think so, but the longer we go with no real news, the more I'm starting to think he might be right about that.
Yeah, Greg Stradamus, he's back at it again, although this one we hope is not true.
Well, we hope he's wrong about this one. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So we're here. We're at the All-Star break. I mean, we've kind of touched on a lot of the needs that the Dodgers are going to have coming back from the All-Star break, a lot of the injuries that we've seen so far. But on the positive note, looking at guys like Shohei and Teoscar, big night for Teoscar today. How do you think he's going to perform? I kind of want to get into something happy on a Monday.
Something fun, right? let's end the show on a happier note. Yes. You know what? I think he's going to do. I don't think he's going to win it. I'll say that. Let's just put that out there. I think this is Pete Alonso's contest to lose, because
always is, right?
It seems, it's always is, and it just seems like he lives his whole life just for the home run derby. But I think Teo's going to go out there. I think he'll put on a fun show, and more importantly, like, he's going to have fun. Say what you want, about this Dodger team right now. Like, watching Teoscar Hernandez play baseball is fun because he looks like he's having fun, especially when things are going well. So I would expect, because it's been so long between All-Star appearances for him, his chance to be in the home run derby, I just think he's going to go out there and have a really, really fun time. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, there are a few guys in the league, honestly, who are as fun to watch as Teo, just off the field as well. Like in the dugout, seeing his antics, seeing his smile. I mean, he might have top 5 smile in the league.
It's up there, man. Like, he's one who brought us the sunflower seed celebration, like all of it, man. Like, Teo's he's been a really nice addition to this clubhouse.
His energy is infectious, and he's probably a big reason as to why that dugout is still maintaining, kind of a positive attitude, even amidst all the injuries. Guys like him, guys like, you can see it in the young guys like Vargas. Shohei's a huge part of that as well. Leaders in the sense that, hey, we remain optimistic with good vibes. I think, a lot of people tend to, kind of go into their shell when things are going bad, when injuries are coming up. And guys like Teoscar, guys like, Shohei, huge to have in the locker room in a moment like this.
Yeah, and I think having a guy like Teoscar, I think having Kike Hernandez to some extent, like I think those were personalities and an energy that's been missing from this team. I mean, it's one thing to have guys like Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman who that they're going to show up to work every day and they're going to put in the work and they're more often than not going to be successful. But the last couple of years in the playoffs, it just felt like things were going bad and the team just felt like they were sort of sleepwalking through them. But I think having guys like Teo, like Kike, who sort of bring that fire a little bit, I think that can kind of help energize this group a little bit more. I would say Kike maybe not as much just because on field he's not maybe giving you everything you need, but I think with Teo, because he is hitting and because he's really a big part of this lineup, I think he really does have more of a voice to kind of kick things into gear. So hopefully these next few days, everybody just sits and rests and relaxes, get their bodies right, get their minds right, because now it's time to really turn things up and charge to the finish.
Yeah. So like you said, getting their bodies right, getting their minds right. And you know what? I think us at the Blue Review need to do that as well. So we'll be here every day reacting. I know the chat says it's going to be a barren week of sports ahead.
It'll be a slow week. Yeah.
We will be here talking Dodgers. We can get a little bit into the draft pick that they had yesterday.
Oh yeah, we might want to try to reach out to Bruce Kuntz this week, maybe.
I think that'd be a great idea. I would love to hear about the young high schooler. It was Kelly was the last name, I believe.
Hang on, let me pull it up real quick. The number 23 pick was Kellen Lindsey. Yeah,
Lindsey. That's it. Yeah. So looks like a good, infielder there. Speedy guy. Always good to get into that. So yeah, maybe we'll give a shout out to Bruce Kuntz. See if he can join us, talk about the young prospect. But outside of that, I get it'll be a slow week in terms of baseball and sports. But you know what? I'm still excited to talk Dodgers. So I just want to thank you, Marcus, for being here. I want to thank LAX. And if you want to go ahead and close this out, by all means, do so.
Absolutely. No, thanks for everybody for being in here, being in the chat, being engaged. We certainly appreciate it. Again, shout out to LAX for partnering up with us and helping us out with the Blue Review. In the meantime, for Parker Bell, I am Marcus Grant. Thanks for watching the Blue Review. We'll see you mañana.